Oh, YouTube. Your trip is short.
This list sucks. This list sucks. This list sucks. This list sucks. It sucks.
Welcome back to This List Sucks. I am JB.
I am Mike. Welcome back.
And we are JB and Mike.
We're superheroes of the podcasting world of everything that sucks, particularly Rolling Stone's 500 greatest albums of all time.
Yeah, namely their list of that. So,
Mhm.
Yep, welcome back to another week. We're here.
Yeah.
We're excited to talk about this week's selection.
We are, because this week is bringing heat. And kind of sorry about the delay. Sorry, not sorry, because JB had an amazing time out in New York City. We had a hella good, fun time this past weekend, and whatever.
Yes, it was production manager Justin Jantis's birthday this past weekend, 40th birthday. Yes,
Amazing party too. So
We had a
much
good
fun.
party. Yep.
Yep. Yeah.
And the week before that was entirely my fault. I was out of town. Mike was ready to go, and I derailed us. So,
well, it wasn't so much a derailing because you did get to experience a live oyster bar and a fully bartended party in Brooklyn.
yes,
So that's not really a waste.
fun for me. Yeah. So thanks for your patience, but we're here again. We're back.
Yes, indeed. Happy Tuesday, everybody, because today Fish announced their spring and summer chopped up in a weird way, but they announced their tour. So,
They sure did. It is chopped up in a weird way. And I mean, it is almost spring. I mean, I guess it's probably just considered summer tour, right? But it's like almost springtime. Because when does the first show start? May?
Yeah, but technically they're playing MSG in April.
Oh shit. Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
And that's really more an extension of that MSG in April show. But again, talk about it being chopped up. They're going to do that MSG run, and then Trey's instantly going to jump down to Sweetwater in Atlanta and do some tab shows. And then I think he's doing a couple more tab shows before he jumps back down to Gulf Shores with Fish.
Yes. Starting in Alabama again.
Yep. Friend of the show, Lee Samper, liked to comment whenever we were all going back and forth today, text messaging each other about the tour. And friend of the show, Lee, goes, "God damn it! Why do they keep trying to make Alabama a thing?"
Yeah, it's like Mean Girls. Like, Alabama's never going to happen. Fish, quit trying to make Alabama happen.
It was classic Lee Samper moment. Classic. But that's exciting. It's exciting because I don't know, last year when all of the rescheduled tours from 2020 were announced, I remember just feeling so much trepidation, and I'm sure it was all over this podcast, like us hand-wringing over whether or not these shows were going to happen. Would they happen? Would they not happen? And honestly, considering that MSG and the New Year's Eve show was the only thing that got canceled last year, that's kind of amazing. And this year, I don't have any trepidation. I'm like, oh yeah, all these shows are going to happen. It's cool.
Oh yeah. I think there's no doubt at this point, especially because the fact that it's during the warmer months.
Yes.
None of them are going to be like inside tight venues with lots of people. And they had those kinds of shows anyways this past fall. So no concerns on my end either that those will all go down. And so will lots of other bands will be touring again this year. Finally.
That's the thing. Yeah. This year should be the year that, I don't know, there's no, the full palette of live music is back, right?
It's returned. Indeed.
Man, that's awesome. Man, that's awesome.
Tool started touring again, which they took a while to come back. Right?
Yeah, because I don't think they did any shows last year.
No, I don't think any at all. Yeah.
Yeah. And they've already done
more
than a handful.
Live music.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. What did you think of, well, maybe let's circle it back. Maybe before we jump into the list for this week, any new records? Did you get any new finds, or were you traveling too much to get anything good music-wise? Listening or scored?
I actually stopped into a little record store at the Chelsea Market, but I was about ready to walk around. It was the morning, and I was going to be walking around all day. And I was like, you know what? There are some records here that I want, but I don't want to carry them around all day long. So
Yeah,
I
that
did not
sucks.
buy anything. Yep. But it was fun to check a New York City record store out, at least. In terms of new music, I haven't really listened to anything myself, although I am seeing that there's a new Alt J record that some people are really digging. I don't know if you like those guys at all, or if you've checked them out.
I don't necessarily listen to a ton of Jay, but I did recently. Animal Collective dropped a new album, maybe a couple of weeks ago. I think is when that Animal Collective album came out, and I did check that out because Animal Collective is fun.
Yeah, is it good?
Yeah. I mean, it's Animal Collective, so if you're into Animal Collective, you'll like it. You know, like lots of Panda Bear vocals, which are fun, and just kind of lots of bleepy bloopy dancey. So yeah.
Cool.
Eddie Vedder has a new album out too. Haven't listened to it.
Wow.
No clue.
No clue either. Interesting. Oh yeah, you know what? Because he has a bunch of guest artists, doesn't he? On that one. Yeah. So check it out.
He fashions himself as an alien, so I don't know what that means. Well, he does one track with Elton John, but that's it.
That's what it is. Yeah. Okay. He's an alien.
I mean, I don't think he's an alien, but the title of the record is Earthling. So
Earthling, yeah. I think that's his new band too, right? I think he's been kind of touring with a band called Eddie Vedder and the Earthlings.
Really? I have no clue about any of this.
So
that's cool.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll check that out.
There's a new. You like Beach House, right?
I do like Beach House. Yeah.
There's a new Beach House coming out this Friday.
Ooh. I can't wait to listen to that. I do love the dream pop of Beach House. And speaking of Beach House, I don't know if tickets are still available, but I remember seeing posters at Woolies that they were coming to Val Air in Des Moines.
Yes.
For local Des Moines folks.
Yeah. Did we talk about that already on the podcast? The fact that the Val Air is kind of being revamped? We did talk about that, right?
No. Do you have dirt on the Val Air? What are they doing to it?
No. I think it's pretty widespread knowledge at this point. Maybe not, but
I'm not privy to widespread knowledge, JB. Yeah. I'm really sorry.
How do you fucking not know this, Mike? No, the guy that does Hinterland, he bought it up and like kind of sinking like a good chunk of money into it and doing some remodeling, and the goal is to definitely kind of bring it to the forefront of the music scene again, which is great for Des Moines because there really isn't that size of venue other than that. You know, I mean, there's Woolies, which is significantly smaller than Val Air. And then what do you have above Val Air? I mean, Seven Flags.
Maybe Seven Flags. Yeah.
Yeah.
But honestly, because honestly, the jump is just Wells Fargo Arena. Like you basically right now go from Wells Fargo or from Woolies to a Seven Flags, which is not really a good venue at all.
No, it's terrible.
Wells Fargo.
Nobody wants to go there. Yeah. I mean, as long as you're talking indoor venues, that's pretty much what it's limited to.
I really hope that he puts a ton of fucking money into soundproofing. Because that's kind of what shut that place down the first time.
Asshole neighbors.
Yeah, the neighbors got super pissed about the fucking bass, and they basically just noise complainted that fucking venue into oblivion, which is super fucked up. And I hope that gets. I hope that he doesn't get shut down there. You know.
Yeah, me too. He's a smart guy, so I'm sure he's thinking about that. And that would be good if he could avoid the same downfall. Because I like that place. I used to go to shows there all the time.
Dude, that was a perfect venue for a lot of bands that I love. Like Primus loved to play Val Air. It was the perfect size for a Primus show. Like I saw Zombie there multiple times. I saw Zach Wild and Black Label Society there multiple times. Yeah. I mean, and that's like all of those bands. That's a perfect venue to see bands like that in.
Perfect size. I saw Tech Nine there one time. That was actually really, really cool. That was it was super packed, and the floor gets really, really bouncy in there. Yes. Everybody's jumping. So
that's awesome. Well,
you want to break it?
Yeah, because this is I don't know about you, but we're getting into these weeks that are just they're heaters, man. Heaters.
Yeah. There's not a lot to complain about this week, in my opinion.
No. But I'm super excited to talk about this first record though, because I would be curious to see where your brain is at on some of this stuff.
Yeah. I think it's me, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'll go ahead and read this. So 240, we have Sam Cooke live at the Harlem Square Club, 1963, which was released in 1985. Sam Cooke was elegance and soul personified, but he works this Florida club until it's hotter than hell, all while sounding like he never breaks a sweat. He croons and strokes for sentimental reasons like a super lover, and when the crowd sings along with him, it's magic. RCA Records originally shelved the album out of fear that Cooke's. Jeez, I'm sorry,
Bless
guys. I was
you.
trying to hold
Good
that in the whole time.
Lord.
And I was like, it just kept getting worse and worse. RCA Records originally shelved the album out of fear that Cooke's raw performance might alienate crossover read white audiences. When it was finally released more than 20 years after he recorded, live at the Harlem Square Club gave many fans a whole new perspective of his greatness.
Answer me this. Before we even start talking about this record, if you could only keep one of them, which one would you keep?
This one.
The compilation that we just got to a little ways ago, or this one?
This one.
Yeah, right?
You?
Yeah, same.
No doubt.
And it's weird because at first I was gonna get like as outraged as I possibly could and talk about how this is a goddamn travesty that compilation is on here, blah 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 blah. But I will say this. I feel like the only reason why they did what they did is just because of the length of this record. You know what I mean? It's a super short show.
It's pretty short, yeah.
And
so you think that you just didn't get the full scope of what Sam Cooke had to offer from this show?
Yeah, because I think that if you would have put any record, I think that if you would have included anything with Sam Cooke and not have Change on it, that you would have been lambasted.
Yeah, Change is going to come for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You would have been absolutely crucified. And this record doesn't have it. You know what I mean?
A couple other songs too.
Absolutely.
You know, like the one about biology. What's that one called again? I don't know about science.
Yeah. Yes.
What a wonderful world this would be.
Yeah. What a wonderful world.
Definitely one of his greatest tunes. So,
right. But now, having said all of that, right, and we talk about it, I can't be mad because I do think that both of them should be on here because this record is fucking gas, dude. This record is pure heat.
It's kind of heralded as one of the best live albums, I think, in existence. And it's hard not to agree with that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just so tight. The band sounds so good. The audience, the crowd noise is perfect because it's there, but it's not overwhelming at any time. And I'm sure they did some mixing on that, but he's totally commanding the room, throughout the entire performance.
And the crowd noise to me is what made this so spectacular because the crowd noise, like you said, it's subtle, right? But especially if you're listening to this on headphones, you can hear how fucking amped that crowd gets. And and you know how like everybody's been to a show, and it's typically a rock show, right? Everybody's been to a rock show where the front man is like, let me hear you scream. And then the audience screams, no louder, right? And then they scream, no louder, right? And most of those assholes do that shit like 6 times. Sam Cooke asks once. And everybody in that room is like fucking holla. Like they're all singing along. They're all chanting it. And it was like, it's a palpable sense, that you can get from the audience. And it's really subtle. You almost have to listen to it on headphones. Or maybe I do because I'm fucking deaf. But
it's because all those rock guys listen to this one. They're like, damn, why does nobody respond to me the way they responded to Sam Cooke? I asked him like 10 times to get him to do the same shit that he did the first time he asked.
I know. What's up with this?
So what'd you think of like the song selection on this? Like which tune stuck out to you?
All right. Well, Feel It was cool. Don't Fight It. Like it was a fun little intro. And I also liked, the soul twist intro in the beginning with the hype man and everything. But when you get to Chain Gang, it's just, it's literally a rip of just great song after great song. So all of the songs that I'm getting ready to list are in order. And I've given them all, I guess 2 of them only have 3 stars, but Chain Gang, I put 4 stars next to. It's an amazing rendition. Cupid 5 stars. It's all right for sentimental reasons, and that's literally a mashup of those two songs. Fucking 5 stars, especially on this rendition. Twisting the Night Away, I put 4 stars next to. Somebody Have Mercy, 3 stars. Bring It On Home to Me, 3 stars. And then 2 and 3 next to Nothing Can Change This Love and Having a Party.
Yeah. I mean, similar star situation over here. Actually, the only one I ended up giving 5 stars to was Bring It On Home to Me. I love the way they did that one. Yeah. And the reason was I feel like it's different than the version I remember hearing from the studio version. Like a lot of these were just basically killer, amazingly well done versions of exactly what the studio version is, you know, which is great. No complaints whatsoever. But like the Bring It On Home to Me was this cool, slow, like rubato intro where it was just Sam and his band and they were just following him so well. You know, he was really kind of playing with the crowd, interacting. I feel like the intro to that was like half of the song. And then when he finally dives into it, it's just kind of set it up to be a major home run for me. And then just the crowd interaction all the way up to the end was really special on that one. But yeah, I mean, I loved all the rest. Like you said, the Chain Gang and the Cupid, just perfect renditions of those. And the everything was great. I even liked Twisting the Night Away, which wasn't my favorite song when we did the compilation album, but I loved it here. Great energy on that one.
And that's the thing, right? That for me is probably like a 1 or a 2 star song, but the audience sold me. I was like, fuck yeah, dude, let's twist the fucking night away. Let's do this.
That's what they were doing. Yeah, they were twisting. That's absolutely right. So I love everything about it. It's awesome to just hear an artist like Sam Cooke, who was, you know, undoubtedly one of the greatest soul singers that ever lived, it kind of just doing his thing.
And, you know, you made the comment that there was nothing, like none of these tracks varied from what you get on the studio take, but that's also just the brilliance of it, right?
Yeah.
Like this guy's basically cutting studio tracks at the fucking Harlem Square Club.
Which is just as much of a credit to his band, you know, as it is to him. Whatever band he had assembled for tonight, like these guys were pros.
Yes. In fact, what did you make any note of the guitar work on Nothing Can Change This Love towards the back end of it?
Yeah, I did. I just wrote that it was a really cool strumming pattern, whatever he was doing. Like it was really fast, right?
Yes, that's what I wrote. I wrote the guitar in the background is crazy with the strumming that he's doing. Yeah, because it was, dude. It was super wild strumming pattern, but it was fucking that dude was a machine. Like he was a fucking strumming robot set to that pattern. Go.
Turn you on, go.
Yeah, it was amazing, dude. Amazing. Okay, so now let's circle back around to where we started from. What do you think about the placement? What do you think about the placement relative to the anthology that we saw on here? What do you want to do with this?
I think they definitely did the right thing in placing this higher than the anthology. Like, obviously, we're going to agree with that because we already said if you had to keep one, it would be this.
Yeah.
I do kind of agree with what you were saying, though, about the fact that you just, like, there are so many songs that were on that anthology that are just so ingrained in Western music in general at this point. Like A Change Is Going to Come, one of the greatest songs of all time. I said it then, and I'll say it again now, you know? So I agree. I think I like what your point on that. I do agree with you. That one should be on here too. I do think that you could have this one a little higher, probably. I just think it's Sam Cooke. If this is going to be his top representation on the list, he probably should be higher than 240.
I mean, he's the greatest soul artist ever recorded, right?
Right, exactly. Like, I think most people agree with that. So, I mean, I guess I'm sure he would appear a lot higher on a list of the greatest artists of all time, and they just didn't rate his albums that high. But still, I mean,
we haven't seen that I think would fall into the same vein is Ray Charles.
We haven't seen Ray Charles yet?
No.
Oh, you're right.
And he's like the closest kind of corollary, right? Would you say?
Yeah.
From like a male soul perspective that kind of did like an old schooly type version of soul music, like super traditional soul music, I guess, if you would call it that.
And was just a really solid like band leader on top of that. Yeah. I mean,
a ripping piano player, right? Like a fucking stunningly good piano player.
Well, yeah. I hope we get him too. I hope we get. I know we'll get him, but I hope we get a live one of him.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I'd like to see these two separated a little bit more, just so that it doesn't feel like these two records are Sam Cooke's single entry. Does it?
Yes.
Do you see where I'm coming from with that? Like when you
Yes.
stack these things so close together, you're almost saying, well, it doesn't matter if you're talking about the anthology or this ridiculously amazing live record. It's Sam Cooke, and this is kind of where he falls.
Yeah.
In our list of shit.
So I don't think I want to see the anthology dropped, but I'd like to see this go up.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
at least 50, I would say.
That's what I was going to say. Get it closer to 200, right?
Yeah.
Get it closer to 200. Yeah.
Breaking into the ones maybe. And yeah, should we see what Rex has to say?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So we do have Rex Todd from this week. So Rex on Live at the Harlem Square Club. Now, this is a great live album. Love hearing the audience's claps, cheers, and singing with Sam Cooke. This is considered the best live show that he recorded in his career. This is just great memories, taking me back to car rides with my mom to get groceries on Saturday afternoon. I love getting hit with memory bombs like this one. Every track has his beautiful, soulful voice on it. Love it and its placement.
Nice.
So, yeah. What do you think they were talking about exactly when they talk about just the rawness of it and the fact that they were worried about releasing it? Because I'm not really sure I could identify what that exactly was. You got any idea? Or is it just like that it was a different time, you know, and whatever they perceived as raw and potentially, I don't know, ostracizing, it would never be these days. It could just be that.
Maybe what they're referencing is like on the ballads, right? Just kind of, I mean, he's definitely not hypersexualized by today's standards, but back then they could have viewed like some of the just, I mean, he had a sexy voice, you know what I mean? And they could have just viewed it as too provocative for fucking honkies to deal with.
I got you. Yeah. There were a couple little funny like talking moments that he had, like basically on It's All Right. He was essentially telling his crowd, hey, don't go home and beat your wives. I know you want to, but don't go home and beat your wives. Instead, just tell them it's all right. Just tell them it's okay. He's like, wake them up, wait till they get the sleep out of their eyes and don't beat them. Just tell them it's okay. You know?
Fucking terrible, Sam Cooke. God damn.
And then there was this random thing that kind of made me take a like a little double take on Somebody Have Mercy. Mm-hmm. You know, there's this one section where he's like, tell me what's wrong with me. And he keeps like riffing on that. And then he just randomly goes, tell me what's wrong with me. It ain't that leukemia. And then he goes back to what he was saying. And I was like, that just seemed so out of place. Where did that come from? It ain't that leukemia.
I'm so glad that you said that, because my notes on this song says, really a nice little piece. Is there a strange leukemia line in there from him?
Yeah, there totally was. Absolutely.
Oh, fuck me. Jesus. Yeah. And then my next sentence after that is, that seems like a strange line.
It was a very strange line. It seemed very out of place. Maybe he had a drink or two before he performed this concert.
Possibly. He was loose. All right. You want to move on?
Loosey goosey. Yep.
I know that you want to move on to 239. Boogie Down Productions, their 1987 record Criminal Minded. BPD copped a gangsta stance, sporting guns on the album cover, but they opened their debut with poetry, an ode to the edutaining power of their music. That's a fascinating word, Rolling Stone. Thank you for giving me that edutation. Edutating power of their music. Quote, it takes concentration for fresh communication, end quote, KRS-One informs. DJ Scott LaRock laced funky samples into taut, hard-hitting tracks like the classic Interborough Beef Fest, The Bridge Is Over, and South Bronx, the latter doubling as a glorious origin story of hip-hop's early days. LaRock was killed shortly after the album's release, trying to break up a fight.
Edutaining. So a combination of educating and entertaining.
Yes. Which I will applaud you, KRS-One, for doing that, because I think that you fucking nailed it.
Oh yeah.
I love go back. I know that's I was just gonna say, like, as soon as we got done talking this weekend about 9mm Goes Bang, like I instantly went back and listened to that, because that fucking hook is so good, dude. KRS
This is
One.
KRS One. It's specifically that track. Like I will say, I loved the whole album, but that was like by far the one that stuck out to me the most, and I loved that. And I'm sure I was raving about it at the birthday party on Friday. But love that one. Love KRS One's voice. I really love Scott LaRock's production throughout. It's very simple and minimalist. Although
Super
I'm sure
simple.
maybe at the time it wasn't considered that. Because it's pretty groundbreaking. This is like what considered to be one of the first gangster rap albums out there. You know,
talking about shooting shit up all over the place.
Shooting shit up. Although there's not like a whole lot of profanity in it, unless I just wasn't hearing it. Like there is some. It's not like that. It's not like LL Cool J or anything. You know,
No.
but there's not like as much as like NWA, I don't think, or anything like that.
No, I don't think it's anywhere near what they were doing on the West Coast. And I think it's really thoughtful too. Like I love KRS-One's flow and I love his lyrics because they are thoughtful. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that I kind of like, I don't like the word edutaining because I think that's just a dumb fucking word, but I get where they're going with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so for me, 9mm Goes Bang and Remix for P is Free is fucking great, dude. Like that's another huge record, or that's another huge part of this album for me. And that's
Remix for P is Free. And that one had it kind of threw back to the same theme from 9mm Goes Bang.
Yes.
It started off with like the exact same thing. Yep. But yeah, I like that one too. Did you happen to read what that was a sample of?
No.
I'm gonna take a whack at this for no other reason than just entertainment for people that are gonna listen to me trying it. So there's a sample of a reggae artist called Yellow Man, and his song that they're sampling is called Zunga Zunga Zung. It's like about 28 letters long, and that's the actual name of the song that they sampled for remixes for P is Free.
Wow, that's funny. This does give birth to a lot of samples that I recognized, and I recognized them really, really, I mean, relatively fast. So on South Bronx, there's this little sample inside of South Bronx that Run the Jewels picked up on RTJ1, and it goes, get it. It's not that, like, that's how long they loop it in RTJ1, but in South Bronx on here, the original source of it is just get it. So that was kind of cool.
Was it a sample, or was it a like originally, or was it one of these guys vocally?
No, I think it was originally a sample, but then so the way that they used the sample, the way that Scott LaRock used it was a really kind of a short snippet of it. And what LP did was he took that short snippet and he looped it on top of itself a whole bunch of times to repeat, and then played it one last time at the end.
And I think that was originally a James Brown sample.
Very possibly.
Yeah, very possibly. There's a lot of James Brown samples on this, including like Poetry is almost all James Brown in terms of the sampling, and so is South Bronx.
There's another one in here at some point in time, and I thought that I wrote it down, but I can't manage to find it anywhere. There's another song on this record where, no, maybe that's the James Brown sample where it goes live and direct. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes,
it's a
but
super,
I can't remember which song it's from.
I know, and it's a super, super short piece. But as soon as I heard that, I was like, oh, fuck, I know what that's from. And I did know what that was from. That was from Cypress Hill used that on their album Black Sunday right before the song Lil Putos comes on. It goes live and direct. And they, again, and then it goes right into Lil Putos by Cypress Hill. But either way, I mean, listen, this is OG. Super, super, super OG, like gangster rap. Right.
Absolutely. Yep. These guys are some of the pioneers for sure. And I mean, I didn't really know this album, so I'm really stoked. I ended up really, really falling in love with this. And this is like some of my favorite of the early hip hop that I've heard.
Yes, I agree.
I told you as much. And yeah, I mean, I know you kind of already knew this one, right?
No.
Oh,
I knew KRS-One, but I had never heard of Boogie Down Productions before. Never heard of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So did he do a whole lot after Boogie Down Productions? Or I guess he must have, because he was still pretty young at this point. And
Yeah.
then he
and then he basically had his own solo career.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I'm assuming largely because of this record, if I had to guess.
So. I'm sure that Boogie Down Productions would have kept going if Scott LaRock wasn't killed shortly after this. But
yes, I agree. And that would have been fucking dope, dude. Like, I would have loved to have heard what would have happened with his production chops, like, as hip hop continued to grow.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. To see where they took things in the 90s would have been really, really cool. And because I really do love his beats a lot. Like the simplistic minimalist, like sampling that he does is just straight to the point and impactful, you know?
Yep.
And I even love like the Back in Black one. That was fun.
The Back in Black sample. Yep.
Yeah. Dope beat.
Yep.
And it's cool. It's a beat that the song's called Dope Beat, but it's a cool beat that he pairs with the Back in Black sample, because he has like the guitar from the Back in Black, but not like the drum sample.
But not the drum track. Yeah.
What'd you think of the little Hey Jude thing at the beginning of the last track? Bastardized version of Hey Jude.
Super bastardized version, right?
Yeah. That was a cool tune though. I have a lot of heavily starred songs. The biggest ones for me were 9mm, like we said, and then I love South Bronx also.
Yep, me too. And then, like I always said, Remix for P is Free. Like those were my big hits. But I also love Dope Beat. I loved Word from Our Sponsors. Super Ho was funny because when I saw that title, I was like, oh Jesus, this is going to be the birth of rap misogyny too.
But it
was totally the opposite. It was basically about how Scott LaRock was just such a fucking crazy gigolo that he would fuck anything that moved, type of things. Which
and is also talked a lot about. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that's still super misogynistic, but not in the way that you would expect with a song called Super Ho.
Yeah, but I mean, so it is kind of misogynistic, but still later in the song, they're talking about how they're essentially like talking all about consent, and like they're like doing the consent is sexy thing back in the 87, because they're like, don't be thinking Scott LaRock's a rapist.
Rapist? Yeah.
Girls better be into it too, and stuff or whatever. Like, in order for Scott to want it, like, so they're preaching consent back in 1987.
That's true. They were trying to keep it real. Like, they didn't want to create any serial rapists with their song.
Yeah. Which I appreciate. So
yeah, I mean, I do too. All right. I'm assuming that if you found this on vinyl, like a repressing on vinyl, you'd totally buy it, right?
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's out there.
I would too. And for the record, I would also buy that Sam Cooke on vinyl. I already bought the anthology on vinyl, so I would definitely buy Live at Harlem Square on vinyl if I could find it. Placement for this one?
Yeah. Probably a little higher. I mean, it's hard to say for sure because we don't know what else, whether hip hop we have remaining. I mean, we can guess at it, and we can probably get pretty close at this point. But
well, we know we still have 4 more Kanye records.
Exactly. So, I mean, just that being said, I think this could go a little higher. Maybe take a couple of those Kanye records down.
We still have Dr. Dre because we haven't seen The Chronic yet. We haven't seen Wu-Tang 36 Chambers. I know from cheating that like 20, actually we're not even 20 away. I think in like 3 weeks, we're going to get to Chef Raekwon, Only Built for Cuban Links. And you can fuck right off if you think that this record should be higher than Cuban Links.
So you think Cuban Links should be higher, or you think this should go up to that?
I mean, I'm actually okay with where it's placed because I like it relative to where they put that LL Cool J record. Now, in full and fair disclosure, like during LL Cool J, I'm pretty sure that I said that I wanted to move that back because I like the record and all, but I think it was probably a little bit higher than what it needs to be for what it is. And so if this stayed here and Mama Said Knock You Out got moved back, you know, relative to some of those other records that we were talking about during that conversation, then I'd be super cool with it. Because I'm okay with it being higher than Liquid Swords. I'm okay with it being higher than Tupac and all the other things that we felt like were ranked way, way too low. I'm okay with it being ranked higher than that, but I don't necessarily need it to go like up closer to 200. I'm okay with it here because it is really simple. It's roots, right? It's like roots hip hop.
Yeah, absolutely. See, I mean, when I say I want it up, I mean, I'm not talking, top 50 or anything, but it could go up a little bit higher for me. It could go up maybe 220, 210.
All right. I'll be curious to see what happens whenever we do get Drake one. Just because we should do that in person so that I can beat you if you don't agree with everything I say.
Yeah. Although not agree, so that you don't do that.
I want to hear about Rex. Was Rex familiar with BPD? Had he encountered these masterpieces before?
I'll tell you in 1 second after I hit my box of wine over here. All right. Okay, we're good. So Rex Todd on Criminal Minded. I'm such a sucker for KRS-One. Classic hip hop tracks. Love listening to this again and again. 9mm goes bang and Dope Beat being my personal favorites. Great album. It's awesome to see it on the list. So yeah.
Nice. I figured that he would be. Okay, let's please talk about the next one. Please. I can't wait to talk about this. I'm such an asshole. Fuck you, Brian Eno. Go.
Okay.
I'm so sorry. That was a lot.
It's okay. Okay, 238, we have Kraftwerk, Trans-Europe Express from 1977. In 1975, someone asked legendary rock critic Lester Bangs where music was going. It's being taken over by the Germans and the machines, he replied. Not a bad prediction. This German group's sound sought to eliminate the distinction between men and machines. Kraftwerk's robot synthesizer grooves influenced electro disco hitmakers, experimental geniuses such as Brian Eno, and rappers including Afrika Bambaataa, who lifted the title track for Planet Rock. The whole world of EDM may not have happened without them. Interesting. So you like these guys or you dislike these guys?
I really, really adored this record. I've already bought it on vinyl, actually.
You did buy Trans-Europe Express on vinyl? Wow.
Fuck yeah, I bought Trans-Europe Express on vinyl. I think that it is beautiful. It's such beautiful synthesizer music. And that's the only way that I can describe it. Because that's all it is. It's just synthesizer music. But I loved it, man. I loved it.
Well, they have vocoders occasionally.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, I mean, from the very first track, it starts off with like a synth sequencer, that's like getting that, and that thing is going to start, kind of lays down that as a bass layer. That's just everything's going to build on that, and then there's a lot of DJ Formula stuff going on in this one. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely just synth pop. Probably one of the first early examples of synth pop.
Yeah. Especially Europe Endless. My synthesis of all my thoughts was, I thought it was beautifully dark and very enjoyable, because that's what it was.
The album or that song?
That song in particular.
Okay, because what I liked about this song or this album was that it was kind of a journey, because you started off with Europe Endless, which is like a major key, kind of bouncy, pleasant almost, and then from that it drops into the Hall of Mirrors, which is like super dark, minor key, droney, almost like rhythmic chanting kind of things going on. And then from there on, every song is like that dark minor feel until the 7th track, which is like Franz Schubert, and it goes right back to that exact same like bouncy major key sequencer from the beginning, and it almost feels like you went through a cave. That's how this album feels to me. Like, it started with Europe Endless, and it's like, sunny and pleasant and happy, and then you're going to the dark cave, and then you travel through it. You're on the Trans-Europe Express, and it comes out the other side. So that's what I liked about it.
I love that though, because I think you're right. Because I made a lot of the similar notes as I was going through each one of those songs, because those songs do get kind of progressively darker and a little bit weird. And then even like from Trans Europe Express into Metal on Metal, like there's this, I made note of almost like a seamless beat that just kind of continues on through all those
Absolutely.
tracks, right?
And that was through Trans Europe, Metal on Metal, and Abzug.
And then
or however you say
Abzug, yeah, because Abzug just picked up instantly, like where the last one left off, and it was,
Those are
I don't know.
essentially a suite, a 3-part suite, those 3 tracks, I think. And
Yep.
like, yeah, I mean, there were and some of these songs are really long. Actually, all of them are pretty long, except for like 1 or 2 that are just short little interludes, like Metal on Metal.
Metal on Metal,
The
yeah.
very last one was pretty short.
Yep.
But like Trans Europe Express, Metal on Metal, Abzug, that little drony beat that continues, it almost becomes disorienting, at least to me, like in its like cyclicality or whatever, cyclicalness, and the droniness. It just keeps doing the same thing that it almost like I was like feeling disoriented, you know, just like because for a while everything cuts out and it's just like this drony beat that keeps exactly the same thing, and it literally is exactly the same thing because it's not an instrumentalist playing it; it's a computer. You know what I mean?
It's a computer,
So,
yeah.
you know, like they talked about blurring the line between man and machine. So yeah, disorientingly good.
What I think the thing that shifted me on this was, and it's funny because we're getting ready to talk about Daft Punk too, but it worked. Like that whole concept of let's just use like these computers basically to make music, it fucking worked for me. And
Yeah.
it's weird to think about how there were 4 different dudes that were all coming together, and like these guys played live shows. Like this was something that they were able to replicate in a live setting. And I think
This would be
that's
a fucking cool show to be at.
I think it would be really fucking cool, right?
Yeah.
I think it would be very cool in the same way that LCD Sound System was cool. And LCD Sound System is fun and cool because they're doing it with live instruments. Like they're literally employing the DJ method in every one of their songs, utilizing live instrumentation. And that's super fun to see. But I think it would be every bit as much fun to watch these guys with their buttons and them pushing buttons to create this rich of a soundscape.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with that at all.
And that's why I bought it on vinyl, because I really, really fucking loved it. And it might be better suited for headphone music, you know, like just to put on in the background as you're, I don't know, connecting flights in an airport or doing something else that you can just need a weird electronic soundtrack to do.
Yeah, I mean, if you are looking for like background music, like this is definitely a great example of this. Although for me, it would distract me too much, just because most music does. I'm not one of those people that can like listen to the music in the background while doing anything that requires thought. It just, I don't know. I'm not that much of a multitasker, but like if you know, you hear people all the time say things like, you know, study music or working music, background stuff. This would be a perfect one for that, you know?
Yeah.
So, let me turn my notifications off.
Definitely the godfather of all things EDM, right?
Yeah, I mean, probably, right? Because I'm trying to think what else would have come before this. Nothing.
Not like this. I mean, this was wild shit. It's wild shit today to me. You know what I mean? Because there's still not anybody out there doing this the way that Kraftwerk was doing this. At least I don't think there is.
Yeah.
I mean, outside of DJs.
Did you ever think like the songs were too long?
Listen, I'll always take a radio edit, especially if you're talking about like a 10-minute fucking, you know, epic kind of EDM synth deal. I'll always take a radio edit version of that, just because I think songs like that are easily editable down to a more consumable length. But knowing the album that I do now, I don't necessarily want shorter versions.
Not on the album, yeah, exactly. Like radio edit could be one thing, but like if you're gonna listen to this album, like and this is one that I kind of came around on because at first, my first listen, I did think some songs were too long. You know, like the first one is 10 minutes long and it's pretty drony. Like there's not a whole lot that changes throughout it. But to their credit, I was looking up this quote on my phone here because I found this quote from one of the guys in the band that I really liked, and just kind of speaks to the power of simplicity. He says, this is a quote, and he said, "If we can convey an idea with one or two notes, it is better to play 100 or so notes." So yeah, I mean, they're like fighting against the convoluted packing in of unnecessary notes. You know, when you can get your same musical idea across with just a couple notes or just a repetitive motif, that just is effective a way to do it, you know?
Yeah. Simple melodies are not necessarily less powerful than complex melodies.
No, exactly. Agree. So
yeah. Now, in terms of placement, if it was at 275, I would be just as happy to discover it at that level. If it was at 300, I would be just as happy to discover it at that level.
Yeah.
I don't want to see it any higher than this.
Definitely not. I'm right there with you. Could go down.
I'm not upset by it here. If you told me, no, Mike, there's just no room to move it down, I'd say, okay. And I would leave it here, but I also wouldn't be upset if it were closer to 300.
Yeah, I agree. So I'm just trying to think like about there were other artists or albums that we said similar things about, like about them being predecessors of EDM, like Primal Scream. That was one, right? We kind of said was sort of like had to be one of the pioneers, but this was way before that, right?
Yeah, Primal Scream was like late 80s. Was it 87 Screamadelica?
Yeah, I'm looking at
Screamadelica, I think. I think that, and it may have even been closer to 1990. This was fucking 70 something.
So yeah, that was 91, man.
Yeah, this is 77. That's
so
fucking
I don't know,
crazy.
man. That being said, maybe I like the position. That's kind of what I was wrestling with in my mind right now. It's just how fucking early this is, you know?
Yeah. Nobody was doing anything remotely close to this when they were doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And it created a whole subset. Yeah.
There are artists that we love today that certainly wouldn't be exactly the same if it wasn't for Kraftwerk.
Yeah. I'm curious because I feel like there was some judgment here. Would you not pick this up on vinyl?
No. So I would absolutely. For some reason, I had it in my head that you were gonna hate this. I didn't think you were gonna like it, even as much as you like EDM. And yeah, I just feel like it was too similar to like some of the shittier, not
Brian Eno garbage
stuff that you didn't like. Like I feel like there were definitely parallels you could draw between this and Roxy Music. Obviously, whatever parts of Roxy Music that this had that you liked are here, but do you know what I mean?
I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, and I'm not going to even justify that with a response. I'm sorry. You literally just compared Kraftwerk to Roxy Music. I just want to be super clear that that's what just occurred.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some shared elements there. You don't think so?
I fucking hated Roxy Music so much. Holy shit.
I know. So that was kind of why I was surprised to hear you say that.
Honestly, Kraftwerk is just like Big Star too.
Yeah, same shit, right?
Yeah, basically.
I don't see any difference between Kraftwerk. Musically, they're exactly the same. I didn't mean to just take this and compare it to the thing you hated the most. But,
I thought that's how this was working out, but that's okay.
I can tell. Yeah. I'm glad you liked it. We both liked it. So let's see what Rex Todd has to say.
Yeah.
Okay. Rex Todd, Trans Europe Express. I don't know what I'm listening to, but I am secretly digging it. I never liked any synth music before. I just figured out why. It reminds me of music from SNES video games. I didn't think I would like this album, but here I am, loving it. Great album and place on the list. Wow, I'm surprised by that too.
Yes.
See, this is a sleeper. Amazing. This is like, you don't expect.
Honestly, this is, for as much as we lambast and shit all over this list, like this for me not as powerful as like an Alice Coltrane, right? Because Alice Coltrane still, when I think about it, it blows me away what she does on Journey into Satchidananda. But I mean, it's kind of up there just in terms of, I never thought that I would be like team Kraftwerk, but I fucking am.
I
Like,
didn't think it would be either. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
and I guess the similarities are not as much musically as it was like I noticed some similarities vocally between like this and some of the new wavy stuff that you didn't like, you know?
yeah.
So
And that I could see, but I don't know. Maybe it was just the sparsity of it. Because it's not like this thing is just like doused in shitty vocoder vocals.
no, they use it pretty tastefully.
Yeah.
And it's almost like used more as more of a rhythmic instrument, like a rhythmic accompaniment to the rest of the music. You know, like Trans Europe Express. And it does that.
Yes. But that's the thing. That's just 3 words. Roxy Music they're trying to toss like hundreds of shitty words into their terrible
words.
music.
Yeah, those assholes.
Well, I'm so glad that Rex loved it.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's move on. Because this is an uncommon occurrence. We're going to talk country music. 237.
Country music.
Yep, 1975. Willie Nelson's Redheaded Stranger. Rolling Stone says, newly signed to Columbia, Nelson was feeling ambitious. It was the first time I had artistic control, he recalled, so I thought I would just start writing. Nelson had penned the song Redheaded Stranger years before, on a drive back to Austin after a Colorado ski trip. He kept the arrangements extremely sparse, in sharp contrast to the gussied up music coming out of Nashville at the time. The song locked together to tell a riveting and heartfelt tale of murder and infidelity, and the concept album became one of Nelson's biggest hits.
Hell yeah. I love this album.
Can you this is going to sound like a really stupid comment, but this is what, like a 33 minute album with 15 different tracks on it.
Yeah.
So my comment is this. I would judge this whole album individually. Like, some of these songs are 37 seconds and it's just kind of a guitar connecting interlude from one to the next.
Or it's a rehashing of a previous song, you know?
Yeah, like a super, super brief reprise, right?
Yes. So you're saying you would judge the album as one singular unit rather than just like putting stars on specific songs and stuff?
I mean, I did put stars next to specific pieces.
Yeah.
But what ended up happening was, like, some of these tracks are so short and they just work as connective devices that I had a really hard time saying that was amazing. That little connection right there was worth 5 stars to me.
Yeah.
But I also didn't want to say, oh, that little connection was fucking useless to me, and I didn't like it at all.
Yeah, so I see what you mean. Like some of them like are kind of hard to judge the merits on. Like for example, the 7th track, like the Time of the Preacher theme, it basically just goes back and does the exact same chorus that the 3rd track did. So it's like,
Correct.
what are you going to give one of those 5 stars, and one of them you're going to give 2 stars? Yeah. So,
and actually, the 3rd track, the Time of the Preacher theme, was just a reprise of the first track, song, Time of the Preacher.
It was the core. Yeah, exactly. So what I kind of did, I guess my approach was to just think more. I mean, I did put stars on most of the tunes, but I was mainly thinking about the longer tunes, you know, the ones that were like fully fleshed out, singular songs, and not necessarily the repeats or the reprises or the interludes, you know.
Mm-hmm. I would say that this entire record, like, I would put 4 stars next to this whole record because I love it in its entirety. If you're going to strip out just one little thing to listen to, in my book, it's Redheaded Stranger.
Wow.
But also maybe Remember Me When the Candle Lights Are Gleaming. That fucking song is beautiful.
That song was amazing too.
Like, really
that
beautiful.
Song was really cool. Yeah. And that was mostly instrumental, or fully. Was it not?
No, there was vocals on there.
Was there?
Yeah.
Okay. That was
they made the comment that I absolutely loved his fucking voice on that one.
Dude, I absolutely loved his voice on this entire fucking record. His voice is so good. I mean, he's just has.
I'm sorry. Well, I was just gonna say, like, so many of these tracks, like the instrumentation, you would call at best sparse, but it's done
Mhm.
intentionally so that you can hear his voice, which is glorious.
Yeah, it's amazing. I feel like I don't really think about Willie Nelson that much when I think about like the country greats. You know, like I'm always thinking about like Johnny Cash or like Merle Haggard or even like Chris Christopherson. But I mean, Willie Nelson is absolutely one of them.
Yeah.
And like just taking the time to listen to this album this week has reminded me of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. I
For me,
do
if
think
you
of
were
Willie
gonna pick
Nelson a lot.
one, you do, yeah.
Yeah.
For me, if you were gonna pick one off of this entire album, it would be Blue Eyes Crying in the Rain.
Yeah.
I love that one. That's
It's
just
beautiful.
I think that's the best country songs of all time. Even
The singing is glorious. Like that's and again, it's I mean, that's not a super long song, but it's just
no, it's like
easy
2.5 minutes.
and beautiful and lovely. Like it's a beautiful song.
I love his guitar solos that he comes up with throughout the album.
Mhm.
I think he's playing most of them. Well,
Yes, I
don't know
believe
for
so too.
but yeah, I couldn't find anybody else playing guitar on like the personnel of the album. And some of these guitar solos are just masterful, in my opinion. Like
Mhm.
they're mostly simple. And Blue Eyes Crying in the Rain is like one of the best examples of it because he does this thing which is a very common thing in playing a solo where you kind of restate and maybe vary the melody a little bit, but he does it so well. And he plays through his solo and it's pretty much just a, fairly faithful interpretation of the melody. And at the end, he throws this like little jazzy lick in. Like, it's like, where did that come from? And then it leads back into the chorus again. And it's just so good. And then there were other songs where there were jazz like guitar solos, like Remember Me When the Candlelights Are Gleaming. The guitar solo on that is nuts. It's basically like a gypsy jazz guitar solo. It reminded me of like Django Reinhardt is the closest, guitar player that I would compare that to, honestly.
Yeah.
But then it had a walking bass line on that the whole time. I mean, that was like almost like a lounge jazz song.
But I loved that he put that into what is otherwise a ridiculously traditional, like, again, sparsely instrumented country western album. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
It's fucking brilliant.
Yep. I agree too. I mean, a lot of this is also waltz country, which I love. Did you notice that? Like at least good 50% of it or more is like 3-4 very waltz country feel.
It didn't necessarily stand out in my mind, but I am admittedly shitty and horrific at identifying time signatures. I mean, obviously waltzes and threes, like that does tend to stand out, but it's nothing that I made note of.
Yeah.
I'm dumb.
You're not dumb.
I loved Can I Sleep in Your Arms too. That was another one that I felt was more fully fleshed out, just in terms of like a standalone track that wasn't, that you could pull out of the rest of it.
100%. That one I gave 5 stars to.
Wow.
That was
I put
one of
3 stars next to it.
That was one of my 2 5-star tunes. That and Blue Eyes Crying in the Rain. There's several 4-star tunes, but I was surprised by how many covers were on this album. Did you realize?
A lot. Yes.
Like
Yeah.
that
a lot of the, well, and again, so relative to how many songs were not written by Willie Nelson, it's amazing to me how cohesive this album comes together.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. I was gonna
yeah
praise him for making a concept album that uses all these covers, like the way that it's like a collage, the way that he combined,
like a quilt, right? He takes like all these traditional songs and he quilts them together to make a concept album. Fucking
to
genius.
tell a story. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what would you say, like, if you could put together the story of the album? So basically, this guy's wife like cheats on him and leaves with his kid, and then he kills them.
And then he kills them.
And then he just goes and becomes the redheaded stranger, and he's just wandering across the land, kills some more people.
Sleep with some more people.
Yeah, he ends up in Denver where he sleeps with somebody, right?
Yep.
I think that's where that happened. Yep. And then at the end, he's feeling better, right? So the moral of the story is, if you're having a bad relationship, you just kill your wife and your child, and then just leave. And through that journey, you will have some cathartic moments, and everything will be better. So
and you'll sleep with some more people, and more catharsis, and it'll be fine.
problem solved. Yeah.
Just go to Denver. I mean, I guess
and-
after you murder somebody, go to Denver because it seems like things got way better for him once he hit Denver.
It did. Yeah. Yeah. Immediately better. But the other really important thing I learned from this album is that if a woman is trying to steal your horse, you can kill her. It's allowed. You can't be hung for shooting your horse. That was like a line in one of those songs. It was like, because you can't hang a man for shooting a woman that was trying to steal his horse. Or, I mean, it was said better than that, but that was.
Thank you, Uncle Willie. Appreciate the legal advice.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can actually hang a man for that. Uncle Willie.
Oh Lord. Where do you want to see this redheaded stranger? I mean, I want to see him in my vinyl collection someday. I'll find that.
I want to see it in my vinyl collection as well,
Yeah.
And yours. And I want it to be higher because of the lack of country music.
Okay, so really quick, I would just like to see more country music.
Yeah,
especially
right
more like, especially more modern country music. Like, I do think that needs to be better represented because there's some really good stuff happening in kind of classic country music today. But 200, I want to see it at 200. I want to see a lot of stuff at 200.
Honestly,
yeah,
I could go that high with it because, I mean, when you think of like the really great country albums, like what do you think of?
Live at Folsom Prison.
Yeah, which that's going to be top 100, right? I assume
that's what I was just going to say. That should be top 100.
That should for sure. But there's not a whole lot of like albums that stick out to me, you know.
Well, not albums, but we still haven't seen any type of Hank Williams Sr. compilation, and we're definitely going to see that. That dude was a fucking stud.
Yeah, 100% agree with you there.
And I think here within the next couple of weeks, we're getting Patsy Cline too. Cool. Patsy Cline was a beast mode. We just had Dolly, right?
Just have Dolly, but yeah, I can see this one a lot higher. I think this is a great representation of this brand of country, and it's extremely important in the timeline of music. I mean, I feel like a lot of the outlaw country music today is heavily influenced by Willie directly.
Definitely. Willie, Merle, Johnny Cash.
I feel like I hear a lot of this album in Sturgill.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I mean, even his new record is basically kind of like this. You know, it's like the ballad
Bluegrass.
of Dude and Juanita, and it's bluegrassy, and there's bluegrass on this too, you know. But I mean, the whole concept album thing.
You're right, though. Yeah, because I wasn't thinking of the ballad of Dude and Juanita, but you're right, man. There's a lot of that in here. Definitely more. I mean, more bluegrass aware, I guess, for Sturgill. But man, you're right, dude. Just in terms of the concept too, like really, yeah. That's a good corollary. Very good one.
And I feel like there was some bluegrass on this too. I mean, I couldn't believe it was true. Was kind of a bluegrass song.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to think. There was one more that to me was bluegrass, and I wrote it down, but now I can't find it.
Did you make a note of Down Yonder? Did you also hear a didgeridoo?
That was the one. No, I don't think it was a didgeridoo. I think it was a really, really. I know what you're talking about, though.
Yeah,
I was trying to decide. I thought it was like a Barry saxophone for a little bit, and I still don't know what it is because I couldn't find anything on the personnel
on the liners.
List, you know. Yeah. But I think it was probably a really, really, really low note on the accordion because there was definitely an accordion going on, and I don't know what other instrument it would be. You know?
Yeah, I don't know either.
I don't think it was a didgeridoo.
It definitely sounded like a didgeridoo. I'm just gonna say it.
I know what you're talking about. It was like that low. Like I was like, is that Barry sax? Is that a tuba? No, it's an army of didgeridoos. Dewey Cox. 50,000 didgeridoos.
I'm assuming that Rex Todd adored this as much as we did. He has to have, that bastard.
I'm assuming. Let's find out. One of Willie's best albums, Blue Eyes Crying in the Rain, is just an all-time classic. Hell yeah, Rex. Mm-hmm. This album tells a great Western story. Definitely a fantastic listen. Recommend it to everyone that loves a story told through a song. Great spot on the list. So yeah, he loves it.
Yep. Excuse me.
I mean, I'm glad we finally got some country. I know we've had some, but the heavily underrepresented genre throughout this list.
I mean, it's definitely a core genre of music, and when you compare it to basically every other genre of music that appears on this list, I mean, like, there's far more punk records than what there are country records, and that's weird.
There
I
are
mean,
way more. Yeah, you're right.
not to take anything away from punk, because this list has really made me appreciate a lot of punk music. By the way, also found Buzzcocks. Singles
Hell
Gold
yeah.
Steady.
Nice.
Fuck
That's
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, super
Where did you
excited
find
about
that? Did you find that in Des Moines?
No. I found it at Waterloo in Austin.
Nice.
I stopped in at Waterloo, got Paul's Boutique, got Trans Europe Railroad, got fuck. What were we just talking about? God damn it. That was a
Buzzcock.
squirrel moment. Yeah, got Buzzcocks too. And then a couple of hip hop albums too. Some Jay Dilla, actually. Some Jay
Donuts?
Dilla. No, I already had Donuts. So I got Jay Dilla Rough Draft, which was his first debut. And then I got an instrumental copy of Rebirth of Detroit, which
Nice.
was like his second record. So yeah.
Need to get donuts. That's on my list.
Can we please talk about the next record? I'm so
Yes,
excited
sir.
to talk about this.
We absolutely can.
Yay!
Okay. 236. We have Daft Punk Discovery from 2001. The robot duo from France perfected house music as pop on their 1997 album Homework. For the follow-up, they took electronic dance music to a whole new place with the vocoder euphoria of One More Time and the deep groove delight Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger, where the title is chanted like a mantra at a dystopian corporate retreat. But even the winky moments, that is funny. But even the winky moments have heart, like Digital Love, where 80s guitar cheese takes off towards Tomorrowland. It's interesting having this album and Kraftwerk in the same week.
It is. I thought the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And I like what they've done there, just because you get grandpa and then you get grandson kind of all juxtaposed in the same week. And I'm glad that they put the derivative before the source, because we talk about that all the time, right? About how kind of the OG version of any of this music gets placed above the, like, anything that may have come from it, you know, to celebrate the original, to celebrate the OG. And this is one that, I mean, they definitely got it right. You know what I mean? Because this fucking record is so good. But the weird thing is, the conundrum that I face is, as much as I love this, I like Random Access Memories better.
I do too.
But I don't want to move this one down. Like, I don't want to move
this
down.
one here, and then you want to move Random Access Memories higher than this one.
Yes, I think that's what I've come to. And that's hard for me, because this is this Daft Punk record, it took me way longer to come around on this one than it did either of the other two studio records that they did. Because I love Homework. I
haven't done Homework.
Jesus Christ. Come on.
I mean, I didn't do Homework when I was in high school, or I haven't done that Homework.
You motherfucker. You should listen to it. Listen, it's super clubby house music. Like, it's the epitome of clubby house music, but there are just fucking banger club tracks on that record. Around the World, Rolling and Scratching. God damn.
Okay, so I definitely know some tunes from it then. I know Around the World for sure.
Yes, you do. Yes, Of course you do.
Around the world.
Around the world. Around the world.
Totally.
Yeah. So good. But I did not have enough love for this record, though. I did not.
So you mainly focused on Random Access and Homework before, and not this one. Well, I mean, this is definitely good. And I assume Homework's not going to be on here.
No, it's not. It's way more raw than this. I kind of understand why they did this. I do. Yeah, I think I understand why they did this. I don't necessarily agree with it, because ultimately, even though this had more influence, I still think that Random Access Memories was better, right? And so that's why I want to see Random Access Memories above this. But the influence of this record alone that it had, not just on EDM, on pop music, and I think on hip hop. Like, I feel like Kanye fucking ripped off Daft Punk.
Well, You think he ripped off Daft Punk?
Well, I mean, he was clearly influenced by them, right? Like he lifted their music for samples, and so
Yeah, quite a
where else
bit.
did he
Right?
get that auto-tuned 808 and Heartbreaks bullshit?
Well, yeah. I mean, that's an interesting point, and hopefully, yeah. I mean, I would hate it if Daft Punk contributed to that pile of shit. But okay, wow. I forgot how much later Random Access Memories was because that was 2013. This is
Yeah.
way earlier than that. That's crazy.
12 years.
So they didn't
12
release any
years.
albums between 2001 and 2013.
They did a soundtrack for Tron, for like that Tron
Disney movie,
reboot
Tron?
movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they did the soundtrack to that, and then they released a remix version of that soundtrack.
Wow. Yeah.
But I mean, Daft Punk really only has 3 records, right? They have this,
Yeah.
Homework, and Random Access Memories.
Yeah. And I do agree with you. I do like Random more. I think that's a better record. It's definitely improved upon from Discovery, I would say. Although I did like Discovery a lot. If anything, like Random Access is just a little bit more intentional to me. Like there are some songs on this record that while I honestly, at no point while listening to Discovery are you going to be fucking bored.
No.
It's definitely entertaining and you're going to be engaged the entire time. But there's some of the tunes that just feel a little disjointed and they feel less like songs and more like little sketches. They don't have like a cohesive theme. Because like when you're doing an instrumental song, like it's hard to make it feel cohesive. It's hard to make it feel like a song. It's easy to make it just seem like a scattered sketch. You know what I mean? And some of the songs that felt a little bit like that to me were like Superheroes. Well, I liked it. It's a good song. It was like I couldn't figure out what like the point of it was. Like it was kind of all over the place. There wasn't like one driving factor in it, And I felt similarly about trying to think. Maybe it was Voyager, although I liked it.
Oh, I fucking loved Voyager.
I
put 4 stars next to that shit, dude.
That might not have been the one. I'm trying to think that the big one that was Superheroes, but then I remember there was another one or two where I felt similarly about.
Okay, so listen, I wasn't crazy about Superheroes either. I wasn't all that crazy about Night Vision.
That was the ambient one. That was the Brian Eno track.
Super Brian Eno track.
Yeah, it's very short though. It was kind of like a little cool down track, a little cool down interlude, in my opinion. Yeah. Very little beat elements to it.
And to be fair, at that point in time, we fucking needed a cooler. One more time, I put 5 stars next to Aerodynamic. I put 4 stars next to Digital Love, 4 stars. Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger, 5 stars. Right? Like this fucking album smokes off the top. It's crazy good. But then to me, it picks up steam again after Superheroes because I put 3 stars next to High Life. Like I felt like we went back into the party. Like maybe we stepped out into the hallway and discovered a whole bunch of people shooting heroin. And I was like, ooh, I don't want to go to sleep. I just took a bunch of Molly. Let's go back in. And then we went back in and it was like, fuck, it's High Life. Woohoo. And then Something About Us. Jesus Christ, that song fucking smashed. And then Voyager too.
I give that song 4 stars.
Yep.
I love it. Textbook DJ formula on that one for sure.
Listen,
if you're looking for like examples of that, this entire album,
right? But High Life, Something About Us, and Voyager, like they all did that same kind of DJ formula. Although I will say on Voyager, like halfway through about 2:15 or so, there's this wild fucking synth line that comes in. It's really, really beautiful. And I loved it. But then you get to Veridis Quo. And that was like a dance party at a wake.
Yeah, especially because it started off with like a flute-like melody almost. Like it's all synths, but it was like it sounded like a flute choir, and it was like an ambient slow intro, and then the beat kind of fades in and it kind of fades in and out. It keeps coming back out. Yeah, I know what you mean. Dance party at a funeral.
Yeah, it was dark, dude. It was dark. But then Short Circuit was super fun because that sounded to me like the Robots trying to imitate a DJ from the early 1980s. Like a mix master scratching DJ from the early 80s.
Yeah. And I thought
it was so fucking cool.
That synth tone that they came up with at the end of it was like it kept cutting out. Like it really fit the title. It was like this. They're short circuiting.
They're short circuiting. Yeah,
like low voltage, and it was like dying. That's a really unique synth tone. They had to like engineer that synth tone. I'm pretty sure, like on their own. You know, like a lot of the synth tones, you can kind of find patch versions of them, but that sounded very unique to me. And the bass synth, like the boom, 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 like the little bass synth that was going on all throughout, especially at the beginning of Short Circuit, was killer. That was a big one for me. I like that one a lot. Yeah, just to go back and to talk about the ones you already mentioned, like Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger. That was a 5-star for me for sure. I loved Crescendos. Like that was a 4-star for me. Really great build to that. And One More Time, I gave 3, but I loved it. I'm a big fan.
Yep.
Yeah. What'd you think of Too Long?
Yep. Fucking nailed it with that title, son.
Yeah, I agree with it. 10 minutes long and really not as much to like as the rest of the album at all. Like a really strange choice for the closer.
Yep. It was bad. Yeah. I mean, I shouldn't say that it was bad. I wasn't crazy about the vocals.
I wasn't either.
Like the housey type of feel to it. I was cool with the house feel. Like I was cool with the beat and all.
It wasn't there all the time.
No.
Beat.
No, yeah, it kind of cut out at like 5.5 minutes. But let's be super honest. When the beat cuts out, Mike cuts out on this one because I wasn't even crazy about the vocals to begin with. If you would have given me like a 3-minute radio edit on this, I could probably get down with it as long as it had the beat the whole time. But this, as it is,
I was trying to like it because I was like, this is Daft Punk. It's a 10-minute song and it's their album closer. Like these guys are not stupid. There's a reason they put this here. So I was trying to find good things about it.
No, but they're still French. They're still French, which made them stupid with this choice.
French fucks. Yeah.
Yeah.
The bass line was good and like the drums were good, but yeah, the rest of it not good at all. And it's just a weird choice to like. I feel like if it was, even if it was still the exact same length, but not the last song on the album, I wouldn't have hated it as much.
I don't know, dude. I don't know. And again, I love this record so much. When I buy it on vinyl, because I don't own this or Homework on vinyl, and I fucked up on both those, so I'm gonna get both those. And whenever I do, I'm just gonna make sure that when I'm playing side 4, that. Yeah, I mean, honestly, probably as soon as Short Circuit's over, I'm just going to walk over and I'm just going to go ahead and pull the needle.
You're going to be like having a party at your house. You're like, dear God, somebody turn that off before the song starts.
No. I mean, yeah, basically.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, I fucking love this record.
I love it too, but I want Random Access higher.
Yeah. And honestly, like that's the end of my commentary because I'm perfectly fine with this here. I'm perfectly fine with this here in Kraftwerk where that record's at like 2 spots below this one. I'm okay with both of those, but yeah, I want to see Random Access. Yeah, probably 50 to 75 spots higher than this. If Random Access Memories was 150, I'd be like, yeah, that sounds about right.
Oh shit. I wonder if that's what we said when we
I don't know. But whatever I said when we were doing Random Access Memories was a total fucking lie. It was garbage. Actually, it would be fun to go back and see if I've changed wildly from what I said on there.
Because I know that myself a million times.
No, I'm sure I guarantee that I have. I fucking said Bobby Brown was dead. Exactly. And I literally just got an email in my Yahoo email account the other day. It was like, Bobby Brown has spun around the globe 53 times. And I was like, fuck you. Fuck you.
That feels a little targeted.
That dude fucking died on my podcast. You can suck it.
We killed him off weeks ago.
Yeah, weeks ago. Yeah. Good week, dude.
Very good week. Yep. And you want to go ahead and let's do Rex real quick. Yeah. Rex on Discovery. Rex says, "Oh, this song again." ... Just kidding. It's an album that is easy to have it play in the background and get your shit done. Great album, a great mix by the 2 mysterious DJs. I'm okay with its placement too. Well-deserved spot.
Yep. Yeah, I dig it. Yes, let's preview this coming week.
Let's do it.
It's good.
It's an exciting week, if only because there's a genre of music that has barely been represented that is represented twice this week.
Right? We just got done talking about how country music was getting snubbed, and I think we've talked about this a couple of times over the past couple of weeks. Fucking metal, dude. Poor metal has just been shithoused on this fucking list. But this week we got some good representation because number 235, the first time we're going to talk about next week, is Metallica's self-titled album, or the Black Album, from 1991.
And then 234, we have Black Sabbath, Master of Reality.
Are you familiar with fucking Master of Reality?
Fuck yeah.
God,
are you not?
Yes, I am. I'm just super excited to talk about it because, God, man, that's a great fucking Black Sabbath record. Woo! 233. And so I would love to get my wife to, if nothing else, at least record like her thoughts on this album, because 233 is Tori Amos's 1992 release, Little Earthquakes. And I know for a fact it is literally one of her favorite albums.
Okay. So, yeah, we should do that.
Yeah.
Or we should get her to call in for just this one album.
Just for that one album. I'll see what I can do.
Yeah, because we can Bluetooth her in. Okay. 232, we have John Coltrane, Giant Steps. Hell yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then the last time we'll be talking about next week, number 231, fucking Damn the Torpedoes from Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. Great fucking
I don't
record.
know what's on that one.
You don't know what's on that one? It's Here Comes My Girl and Refugee is on Damn the Torpedoes.
Refugee, yeah. Cool. Well, that'll be fun. Well, yeah. It's got another solid week. I don't know Tori Amos at all either. So like I couldn't name one song by her.
What? Really? You couldn't name one Tori Amos song?
No.
Man. Well, you're gonna be able to name quite a few. She's fucking good, dude. Really, really good. I've seen her in concert 3 times. And she's even
I know you mentioned that Genevieve likes her.
Yeah.
A lot.
So
yeah,
so we'll see about what we can do to get her on the podcast to talk about Little Earthquakes and everything else that we got coming up next week, because it's gas. More and more.
Yep. So each more every week, it's going to continue that way. So, tune in next week and join the discussion. Hit us up via email. We haven't mentioned that in a while. We have an email address, thislistsucks@gmail.com. Send us an email and maybe we'll read it if you really lucky.
Yeah, send us a voice message if you're super drunk one night, because you can record those at our podcast website at anchor.fm/thisisslux. So you can get at us that way too. And and otherwise, I hope that if you're playing along at home like Rex, or even if you're just periodically listening to some of these records, as much as this list is bullshit, some quality shit on here.
Like there are definitely some cool stuff that we've discovered that I don't know that I would have ever. I mean, maybe eventually, but I don't know that I would have probably heard it ever.
Yeah, there's no way that I would have heard a lot of stuff. So from that standpoint, thank you. From every other standpoint, Rolling Stone, you blow.
Fuck you, Rolling Stone. That's the takeaway from what we just said. Yeah,
that's right.
Okay,
that's right.
So thanks everybody. We'll see you next week.
See you next week.
This list sucks. This list sucks. This list sucks. This list sucks. It sucks.